Hello fellow Christian fiction lovers, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you kind of a short list, but also a complete list of contemporary Christian fiction that I genuinely enjoy. So I saw another Christian booktuber do a similar video to this except historical fiction, and I thought, why not do my spin on this, because the creator was like, I'm not the biggest fan of historical fiction. I am the complete opposite. I am head over heels in love with historical fiction. Contemporary fiction is very hard for me to genuinely enjoy. I don't know why. I'm sure there's reasons for it if I thought about it long enough, but this video is going to be me sharing 5 contemporary Christian fiction books with you that I did enjoy and I think are actually worth it. So the first book I actually did finish last night, so it's still kind of fresh with me and I can recall the story, but that is The Storykeeper by Lisa Wingate. This book follows an editor who just got a new job at a publishing house, and this mysterious manuscript shows up on her desk, and she ends up going after the story, trying to find the author. Also, there are threads of reuniting with her family and her difficult history within the book, and I just thought it was really well balanced. It was set in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, which I used to live not too far from the Blue Ridge Mountains, so I'm very familiar with that area. There were actually some places that I recognize, some cities and towns and stuff that I've heard of before. I've not necessarily been there, but I've heard of them and I kind of know about them geographically, so that definitely helped me with my appreciation of the book. Overall, I did give this book 3 stars. But 3 stars isn't a bad rating for me. I'd say it's more like a 3.5 star read. So yeah, I did really like this contemporary fiction, and I kind of want to read more by Lisa Wingate. I really liked her style. Okay, next up is actually the last book in a series, but that is Home All Along by Beth Wiseman. I would recommend reading the whole series, but I specifically liked the last book in this series because it dealt with some medical ethics that I just so genuinely appreciated the way the author dealt with this pretty debatable topic within the medical field. The specific issue is medical life support. How do you deal with that? And this is an Amish fiction book, so just the whole religious discussion, or the discussion of how this fits in with their specific religious beliefs and how it relates to a Christian's beliefs. I so liked it, and that's something that you can't get through historical fiction because that technology is something so recent and so new that can only be put in a contemporary setting. And yeah, that's why I really liked this book, Home All Along. It also, you can't just pick up this one and expect to understand everything about the main character because she has gone through a lot to get to this point in the series, but I would say I enjoyed this one the most out of the whole series. Oh, and this one was also a 4-star for me, so yeah. Okay, next up I'm going to share 2 that are half contemporary and half historical fiction. Call me a cheater, I don't really care, because they are split time novels. I love split time novels because you get just enough history to make it worth reading, but there's also this contemporary setting where most often they are finding out more about what's going on in the historical setting. That's why I love it. But the first one I'm going to talk about is Freedom's Ring by Heidi Chiavaroli. Heidi Chiavaroli is one of my favorite authors. I read Freedom's Ring a couple years ago. It's one of my comfort books because it is a book that got me so entirely obsessed with Christian fiction, and I really owe it to this book and the next one that I'm going to talk about for getting me into this world. The contemporary setting follows a survivor of the Boston Marathon bombing in 2015, and it's kind of her process of healing, and she goes on this journey of finding out about this ring that the man who helped save her and get her to the EMTs on the bombing, or at the bombing, he gave her this ring, and she ends up finding out a bunch of stuff about it, reconnecting with her sister whom she had lost contact with. It's so much more than all of that, but I so loved this story and it's so powerful. I've reread this book like 3 or 4 times and I love it so much. My copy is very worn in and floppy, as you can tell, because I have had this book for a long time. But yeah, I love this book. It's 5 stars for me. Okay, so the next kind of recommendation I'm going to give you is more of like a general author recommendation for a couple of her books, and that is Melanie Dobson. She writes primarily split time World War II fiction, and I read Hidden Among the Stars, was the first novel I read from her, and I so loved that story. I will say the modern day setting, it's good, but I value the historical setting way more. Her most recent release, The Curator's Daughter, I would say the contemporary setting and the historical setting are fairly equally balanced in the character depth and just richness of their stories and coming to terms with themselves and with God and with the settings that they are a part of. Personally, I'm always going to lean toward a more historical setting because I just find it so rich, but the contemporary setting and The Curator's Daughter was also amazing and I really genuinely enjoyed it. So I would recommend from Melanie Dobson, The Curator's Daughter and Hidden Among the Stars. Those are my 2 favorites of hers. Catching the Wind is okay, it's not my favorite. And Memories of Glass. Memories of Glass was a really great novel. I don't remember it very well, so I should probably reread it, but I do remember enjoying it. So yeah. Okay, and the final recommendation I am going to talk about is The Red Door Inn by Liz Johnson. I really liked this book. I was shocked with how much I liked this book. I have a whole series review on the Prince Edward Island Dreams series. It's 3 books. The Red Door Inn is the first book. I would say this one deals the most with the characters' personal problems and getting them to overcome what they're going through, just kind of wrestling with God, wrestling with each other, wrestling with themselves. This one deals with those aspects way more than the other 2 do. It is a romance, which I'm not the biggest fan of contemporary romance, so again, the fact that I loved this book so much, it's a big compliment coming from me. But yeah, this book is also could be a standalone. All 3 of them could be standalones, but like a lot of contemporary series, this characters like tie together. The characters from this book are in the next 2 books and that kind of thing. And The Red Door Inn would be a 5-star rating from me. So those are all of my recommendations for contemporary fiction. It's a world that I tiptoe into kind of very briefly with a lot of caution. I'm not the biggest fan of contemporary romances. They just don't seem very realistic to me. Historical romance is much more up my alley. Not all of these books are romance. I just was saying that because the last one definitely is a romance, but I also just find that trying to write in a modern day setting, reading that can be very hard for me because sometimes I don't find it very realistic. But these are the ones that I did enjoy. Maybe if you can think of some books that are like these, I am open to recommendations. I would love to check them out. And yeah, with that is the video. Those are my recommendations. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video, whatever that is. Until then.